Good morning. All right, we'll give everyone a second to get in. All the sessions are 30 minutes. So if there was an error in the calendar, please let me know so I can update it. And we will get started. So welcome. For some of you, this is the beginning of a new journey. For other people, it's a continuation of a journey. And so I kind of just want to set a mindset that I would love us all to adapt going forward, is that this is January 1st. They're going to say, Chirag, what are we talking about? This is September. No, it's not September. I would love if every single person adopted their New Year's mindset today. Because here's what we know. There's a thing in life I like to call M&Ms, momentum and multipliers, right? If you have momentum, it's the consistency of doing things that give you that momentum, that give you confidence. And there's multipliers, like people, places, and things that can multiply your efforts, right? So if we can all adopt this mindset, the number one thing that I think that can change all of your businesses is your skill set, right? It's our ability to effectively communicate with other people. Can everyone hear me? Okay. So if you're able to effectively communicate who you are, what you offer in the context of what somebody else wants, you win. So as we go through the next 4 months, there is what's going on, what I call like the 3 C's. People are confused about these new rule changes, forms, and everything else. The second part is it feels chaotic, right? Like it's just utter chaos. And then people go back to the third C, which is the worst one, is certainty. Let me just do things the way that I've always done. And we know for the world that we live in today, that is not very effective. So I would like you all to join me on this journey for the next 4 months on obsessively living every day like it's January 1st. You know, when you wake up on New Year's, it's like that Disney magic in the air where you're just like really excited, like, yeah, it's a new year. I'm going to do my new thing. Well, what happens if you approach every day like that leading up to the holidays and you can just check out for the holidays? Like literally take the week between New Year's and Christmas off, take a week off during Thanksgiving, and just enjoy your life. That is the byproduct of what you do over the next several months. So let me share one thing with you. All right, do you guys all want to see like a sneak preview of something that's coming that's really cool? And then we'll go into today's training. So we do have like a form of Chirag AI, but we know that it has limitations. So this isn't like its very early beta stages, and obviously this isn't the final interface, but this is what our AI will look like. So all of your chats will be saved. You have the ability to make comments, thumbs up, thumbs down, and we'll design all the interfaces. What we're working on now is building in a voice feature so that you can actually role play with this, which is pretty cool. We're programming in a list of every objection that I could humanly find, both that I could think of, my coaching team could think of, and that we could find on the internet. And we're programming all of our materials in here. So if you're at, can I have a listing presentation? Will just come up, and that we're trying to compassify all these things and put them in your marketing center account. So if you look at this by like the middle end of October, anytime, any device, anywhere, any situation, and any scenario will be available through this. And the way that we can collect feedback in it, based on your feedback, every 2 weeks, you'll get an email that says, here are the latest updates to Chirag AI. And it'll give us all the new scenarios. Because the more information that you can share with us, the more we can give to all of you. Does that make sense? So it's something really exciting. It's like the idea is like having a personal coach in your pocket 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Sound good? All right, so let's get started for today. Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to talk about the purpose of the buyer consultation today, building rapport with buyers, the MEDC framework, and initial buyer consultation script. So those are our highlight focuses. Yes, the deck will be uploaded along with the session, and we have a resource guide made. So look, there's really 4 purposes of a buyer consultation, right? Is to meet the clients where they are. Meaning when somebody buys a house, they have a very distinct set of motivations, expectations, disappointments, and concerns. You can also assess and understand their unique needs. It's provide clarity, which will ultimately build confidence, right? Now, when I look at clarity in a buyer consultation, it's sharing what, Martha, we have to offer in the context of what somebody else wants. I'll say that again. It's sharing what we have to offer in the context of what somebody else wants. I have to unmute somebody. Hold on. There we go. That is the essence of a great value proposition, right? So what I want you all to get away from is, here's my presentation, here's what I have to offer you. That's the old way. The new way is, let's follow this framework. Let's understand what your unique needs are, what your unique situation is, and then let's share with you how our resources and our unique value proposition will solve your challenge. So building rapport with buyer, active listening and empathy and emotional connection, right? So have you ever heard the saying that you listened so good, you solved all their problems, right? So you should be listening, 2 ears, 1 mouth, more than you are talking, right? So by using open-ended questions and a sales approach called, or technique called mirroring, right? Actually, excuse me, echoing. So if you had said to me, I would say, what makes this, moving is probably one of the least enjoyable things that you could choose to do in a lifetime. What makes this the right time to make a move? Oh, you know what? Our kids are growing up and we're really just looking to downsize and enjoy more lifestyle and not have all these overhead expenses. Oh, great. So you're moving. So it's the right time because you're looking to enhance your lifestyle and ultimately cut back costs, right? That's just mirroring back a few words they say, right? And then the other one is empathy and emotional connection. And this could be going in many different ways, right? So when you can really listen to listen, now remember this, and this is why everyone should have a plug note. You can either be listening to listen, you could listen to take notes. If you're trying to do both, you're not listening at all. So with technology, everyone should have one of these, a plod note. It's an AI-enabled voice recording device that will just let you to talk and it'll capture all the notes for you. Whether you're on a phone call, whether you're in person, and before anyone says you have to tell your clients you're being recorded, you want to actually say this. Like, hey, one of the benefits, I really want to make sure that the sole purpose of this conversation are the things that are most important to you. So I really just want to be present and listen. So we have an AI-enabled voice recording technology that will capture everything you say, will give us meeting summary notes. So this way we could really engage and just meet you where you are. What buyer is going to say no to that, and how many agents are actually doing it, right? Remember, what makes somebody an expert is knowing one more thing than the other person, right? That's it. Now, if you establish trust and credibility, and now this can be done in many different ways, right? Sometimes sharing client experiences with somebody's challenge could be helpful, right? So I wrote the word testimonial, but I want you to change it because that's a word you guys all know. Change testimonials in your buyer consultations on your website and all your marketing to client experiences. When you're asking for testimonials, you could say, hey, it is always our goal to help people connect with the right experience in working with an agent. Would you mind sharing what specifically you found most valuable in our experience in working together? It would be really helpful. Now, in doing this, you're going to start learning what your value proposition is, right? Even if you called 10 of your clients, you'll be in infinitely a better place than you were when you started. Another way is demonstrating local market knowledge, right? Now, when you're going through the needs analysis in a buyer consultation, this is your job to explain to them just those little nuances that you know from properties that sold, going on broker caravan, right? And also being transparent in the process. If you interviewed 100 buyers and you asked them a question, do you feel that you were in partnership with your agent and you knew exactly what was going on and what was going to happen next? I guarantee you the overwhelming majority of them say no. All right, so now let's get into the $1 million framework, right? This is what we call the Med-C. Now, I'll give you a quick little back history to this. You know, one of the things about being a business coach is you have to kind of be like Nostradamus, meaning like you have to predict the future. So when all these crazy things happen, people turn around to their coaches like, all right, so what should we do? So when COVID happened and they had all those national lockdowns, people looked at me like I have to have some miracle answer to what was going on, right? So, you know, one of the things that I realized is by losing in-person meetings, our ability to build rapport and connection with people were out the window. So we had to make an entirely new process for our clients. And, you know, they say rather be lucky than smart. And building this process, this has been the cornerstone and foundation. And I see Mary Murphy on here. She can tell you she's gotten $10 million worth of different listings just following this. This works with finance clients. Anne's gotten clients like this. Martha's gotten clients from this. Anyone that's been in our coaching community will tell you that this works all the time. Because what we know is we have 4 years of clients using this, and it sets you apart from everyone else, right? So by asking the right questions, you can build rapport and then understand how to support them, right? So let's go through the Med-C framework. Now, motivations, right? Like these are some prompting words on the slide, but think about this. The word motivation comes from the word motive to act. So I always like talking about pre-qualifying in this way that people don't really think about it. Tonality is the most important part of this. Have you ever seen or noticed that when you ask buyers questions the first time, like, where are you looking to go to? How soon do you want to be there? Have you been pre-qualified? It's like an FBI interrogation. Think about for those of us that are in a serious relationship, that are married, that have a partner, what it was like the first time for you openly discussing your finances with your partner. It sure as heck was not on the first date, right? If somebody asked you, how much money do you make? How much money do you have in your savings? Like, what can you afford? Like, you would run. You'd be like, this is crazy. But agents do that all the time. Again, because I believe the National Association of Realtors is the worst parent organization that exists in the history of. It's like if they're like, we're the parent organization of real estate. Well, if you ever read the book Matilda, they're the parents from Matilda. The worst. They didn't teach you how to talk to people. They didn't teach you how to run businesses. They didn't teach you how to run P&Ls. They didn't set you up for success. They waste enormous amounts of money on garbage. Their continuing education of what they're required to take has no bearing to your business. All right, now let me get off this because I could talk about this for forever. But if you ask people these friendly questions, now write this down. Would it be okay if I asked you a few really important questions so we can solely focus our time together on what's most important to you? Would it be okay if I asked you a few really important questions so we could solely focus our time together discussing or talking about what's most important to you? Do you know what parts of that they heard? Few important questions and solely focus our time together talking about what's important to me. What better way to set the tone for a conversation that your clients are the most important things, and this is not you vomiting information to them? Remember, real estate is a luxury service. Luxury services are generally curated, they're high end, and they feel like they're just made for you, right? It's not this vomit of information. Now think about it. I'm moving. I have a partner. I have 2 kids. I have school districts. I have timing. I have a very busy career. Like I want to move, but I'm thinking about packing. Like, where do I go? Like, how's this not disruptive? And then somebody's showing up and saying, oh yeah, like I have these off-market properties. I can do this for you. I can do this for you. I have this thing. Like, whoa, like what does it have to do with me? And do you know where all of this comes from? It's all these stupid trainings that people have. And it's not my place ever to talk bad about anyone else, but this is no other way to describe this. It is just sheer stupidity of how many people are out there saying you need to show your value. You don't need to show anything. You need to know, you need to understand how to talk about your value in the context of what somebody else wants. If you show up to a meeting with the mindset of, I want to show my value, you just made something that should be all about somebody else, about you. It's like when somebody shares a story with you and they're trying to be vulnerable and they open up and you're like, oh, I had this happen to me one time. And when like, you just hijack the conversation. Don't hijack buyers' experiences. So the motivation, there are two parts to motivation. And I always like to start the conversation of having that frame, and they're going to say yes. And the first question is, I'd say, look, moving is one of the least enjoyable processes a person chooses in their lifetime. What makes this the right time for you to make a move? They're going to tell me. I'm going to echo back a couple things that they said. Then I'm going to say, as a direct result of moving, what are you most excited about happening? As a direct result of moving, what are you most excited about happening? Can anyone tell me what I just did there in those first two questions? Anybody?
You plugged into what was exactly important to them.
Yes. And the other point, thank you, Andrea. The other part that I did was I associated my conversation in two parts. One, it's all about you, solely focused on the things that are important to you. And number two, I got them to the pleasure point in their cortex in their brain of what they're most excited about as a result of moving. Generally speaking, that's where they're going to give you what they want, right? There is the primary benefit and the secondary benefit. So the primary reason they're moving is a decision that they're taking. So if you think about, I'll use this analogy. If you're going to a personal trainer, like the primary reason for signing up for a personal trainer is like, oh, I really want to get into shape. And then when you ask them about the secondary benefit, what are you getting into shape for? That is really the underlying driving factor in why somebody is doing something. So it's the same thing with the house. What are you most excited about happening as a direct result of your move? And as soon as you have that, this information is very valuable because you're going to need it to influence them at later points in the transaction. Expectations. That's the next one. Everyone has an expectation. When you came here today, you had an expectation. When you go to a restaurant, you have an expectation. We all have expectations. Whether you want to believe it or not, start thinking about this everywhere you go. Why do you think people go back to the same hotels, the same resorts, the same vacations, the same restaurants? It's they have an expectation and they know what it's going to be like. Remember, your brain is programmed for two primary needs, certainty and comfort, right? So what you want to say is, what are your expectations of an agent you partner with for the purchase of this home? Shut up and listen. That's it. And then echo back, okay, so what I hear you saying, right? People love being heard or listened to, is what I hear you saying is it's blank and blank and blank. Additionally, what are your expectations around communication? Nobody asked people this. If your clients are pinging you all the time for the stuff that you should be giving them, you're not doing a good job. It's like every time someone sends our team a ticket that says, where do I find this? Or this isn't here. Like I literally cringe. So they're literally going to tell you what they want, right? Now, how many people raise their hand or hit yes in the chat box want people to trust them, right? I want my clients to trust me, right? Do you know what trust is? It's one word. Drop it in the chat. What is trust? Trust is a feeling, and this is what people mess up. It is a feeling created through, and feelings are created through interactions and engagements. My expectation is that you trust me as your coach, you're going to spend many months with. But these interactions, these engagements, and the way that I share information with you and how easy I want to make it for you to use it will make you trust me, because you'll use this stuff once and like magic, it works. And you're like, wow, I trust them then, right? So this question really makes people trust you. What disappointments, right? Do people ever ask this to clients? This is like the best question to ask, because one, you can see if they're like batshit crazy, right? Like it's just some of the things that people will tell you in this, it's amazing. You could say, in an effort to meet and exceed your expectations, it's important for us to understand what disappointments you've had with agents in the past or any service that you've hired, so we can ensure none of those happen during this process. Everyone has something. And the simple fact that you're asking them this question opens up the whole conversation, and they trust you. This process right here is where your trust rapport is built. Emotional connection is built, right? And there's something about this that just makes people feel good. By the way, like if you're in a relationship and you're kind of at like a bumpy point, like these are great questions to ask. Like this works in job interviews with people. Imagine asking your partner, right? Like, what's motivating you to be in this relationship right now? What are you most excited about happening as a direct result of the relationship? What would your expectations of me as a partner be? As a partner, I'd love to know what past disappointments that you've had with me that I could avoid them in the future. Right? Like think about how powerful that is. I work with a group of NFL athletes, and it's called Pro Athlete Community. So now it's NFL players, NBA players, MLB players, there'll be MMA people there. So now they've brought people's spouses and partners into this. So in my whole time blocking and tackling, I have to come up with couples exercises, right? Of like how they do this together. And what I suggest people are going to do is once a month, I'm going to have them do this med C with their partner. It is such an insight into somebody, right? And the last one is concerns. Concerns are hidden objections, right? So ultimately, you would say to somebody, and what keeps you up at night? Is it interest rates, lack of inventory? The things that are bothering people. And say, is there any concerns that you have at making a move at this time? And then eventually you'll be able to say, hey, just want to make sure I listened and heard everything you said correctly. Feel free in the end to add on anything I missed or anything that comes to mind. What makes this the right time to make a move is blank. And what you're most excited about as a direct result of moving is blank. Your expectations of an agent are blank, blank, and blank. And your expectations of communication are blank. Your past disappointments are around blank, blank, blank that you really would like to avoid for this process. And ultimately, these are the concerns that keep you up at night. Did I hear everything you said correctly? Is there anything else you feel you want to add in? As soon as you've done that, the client's yours. It's like the game's over, because you have everything now you need them to sign an agreement as you go through the buyer consultation. So why do we use this? To qualify what a buyer truly wants so that you could tailor your approach to their specific needs. And it's to avoid those common pitfalls that you have in relationships, and you build real, genuine trust, right? So we've gone through the questions, right? So if you go through this just in an opening tone, you could set a welcoming tone, you could understand their motivations, you can explore their expectations, identify their disappointments, and address their concerns. So in the end, we went through how do you recap this, right? And this is how you build trust and reassurance, right? And again, this is where you establish a communication plan, right? So you could say, at the end, you're going to say, during our conversation, we have a written communication plan that ensures that we give you the exact information that's most important to you in the time frame that works best. Next steps, you develop an action plan, right? You do it together. You can introduce your technologies and tools, and you have a follow-up strategy, right? You have to be the agent of choice by personalizing it, handling the objections. And now we'll have a whole thing on objection handling, but an objection is just a clarifying question. So if you're charging me a certain amount of money and certain things don't make sense, you're going to have objections because things aren't clear to you. Every single agent, I want you all to keep an ongoing list of all of the objections you get in the notes section of your phone. So when I say to you, today is objection handling day, and one day we will show up and I will set up a bonus call, And you literally could submit all of your objections. We'll bring an otter note and I will go through all the objections one by one by one by one, and then send you all the scripts and upload it to Chirag AI. So if you can be organized, again, you can get more out of our team and our program in this coaching series. I can't do it alone. I have to meet you where you are, right? Always prioritize your buyer's needs and be proactive about communication and transparent in the process. Partners go through things together. Service providers leave people confused. And as they say in Disney, that's all, folks. So what questions, comments, concerns do you all have today? Anything you're excited about that you'd like to share?
Hey, Chirag, it's Mary. I've been with you for 3 years now, and I have to tell you, I don't think people realize the power of the Med-C. I don't even have to open up a presentation booklet in my listing presentations and working with buyers. It just is magic, and if you do it right. And that's why I keep coming back, because it really has changed my business, changed my life. And I think it's just learn it. It's just fabulous. Just want to say that.
Look, sometimes you literally don't have to even go through your presentation.
Yes.
Like if you think about it, people are just going places. And now because of all this NAR stuff, the people don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. The majority of agents or salespeople, they don't even have a sales system to follow, right? That is our obsession as a team, to like all this AI and all this stuff is to make it easier for you to find and use this stuff, right? So like we have hours and hours, like my entire schedule has been freed up over the next few months just to dive into this, where when somebody wants to find something, they can literally type it in the AI, I'll just give it to them. Like that's the magic in this. Like we have literally like in some ways run out of like different things. And the idea, and I think the challenge for agents is they don't realize how long the repetition of something needs to be to master it. And if you look at Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods, when they learned how to make a free throw, they still practice every single day doing it. And I think that's the biggest downfall that agents have is they think they've heard something. They think they've learned it. Tony Robbins calls it the 1 millimeter rule. It's that 1 millimeter change as you just continue to evolve and get better. Practicing your conversations, closing techniques, your presentations should be something that you commit to today, tomorrow, and for the rest of your life. And if you're like Mary, Martha, and Anne, and a lot of these other people have been here for years, you see them every year coming back year after year and just getting better and better and better. And what I do know is when there's uncertainty, people want more choices, right? When we had the COVID market and arguably the Domino's guy could sell the house as fast and for as much money as an agent could, people are just like, all right, I'll work with you, right? But when you have like world events, insane, an election, which is, I don't know, like a 3-ring circus, I would say at this point, right? Like it's very interesting. Interest rates, inflation, you have all of these different factors. People are going to be looking around more, right? And the one thing that no one is talking about that I want to keep bringing to you today is as the weeks, months, and years go by, people are going to be looking more and more at what they get in exchange for the compensation they pay. And in every service and in every different thing in the world, whether it's your computer, a computer monitor, or your cell phone, people are willing to pay a premium for a luxury service. So you have to choose who you want to be and how you want to show up. If you learn this process, you can charge more money, earn more money, create a better client experience, and the best source of a referral is a great client experience. So our journey has just started. Like Willy Wonka, these next few months, we have lots of surprises for you. As I've shared with one of our accountability group leaders, kind of what our vision is through the end of the year, he says, wow, Chirag, this is completely different than anything you've done before. So it is my obsession to keep those of us that come here ahead. So as always, with love in my heart, I love you all, and I will see you all next week. Just a quick update. Mondays and Tuesdays, Mondays, 9:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. I do live role playing, right? Bring your objections. 11:30 Eastern, we have our seller session. Tuesdays, like today, 11:30 to 12, we have our buyer session. And instead of offering just more training, we want everyone to focus on these paths. So the combination of David and Kate, they're going to start running on Wednesdays, a CSC networking agent mastermind. So this is where you can show up, people will be sharing the best of what they're doing, and there'll be more conversational dialogues. And I can tell you this, if you've not met David Severance, he is here on this call. I'm going to pin him just quickly, David, so you can just say hi. There is no person better on earth, not even me, that can facilitate a meaningful conversation with a group of strangers or people who know each other since David. So you just want to introduce yourself really quickly, David, for the group?
Good morning, everyone. David Severance here. I'm on the staff of Chirag Shah Coaching. Delighted to meet many of you that I haven't seen before. And for those of you that are old faces and old friends, great to see you here again. I'm looking forward to having more in-depth, substantive conversations about how to really bring all of these, all the guidance and stuff like MedC, like Chirag's talking about, to life for all of you.
So our journey begins today. Remember, treat every day this year as if it was January 1st. And just keep on plugging forward. Remember, the greatest investment you can make is keeping the promises you make to yourself. Love my heart. I love you all, and I will see you all soon. Bye, everybody.